The debriefing ministry has been very fruitful. It grew quickly. We quickly had a high demand for lots of debriefing.
I had been in missions for a while, gone from student to staff, staff to student, all these different trips, outreaches. I didn't have time to just process it all. It was just kind of going from one thing to the next.
We'd transitioned so frequently. We didn't even have a home for the first 8 months of our marriage. We were traveling all across Europe.
A lot of times when people are overseas, they get burned out a bit, or they have some dramatic situations.
I had a traumatic snowboard injury that almost lost my life, and so because of that, it brought on a whole lot of change into our marriage.
It had been almost exactly 5 years since I had lost my leg. In those 5 years, nobody had ever sat down with me and said, hey, let's hear your story from beginning to end. And how did you respond to that? How did that affect you? And Janet and Andy really gave me the opportunity to do that and the tools to do that.
In our culture today, whether we're missionaries, whether we're in business or we're pastors, it's moving at such a fast pace. It's almost countercultural for some people to process their life and their journey.
I was kind of at a point where I'm like, you know what, I don't know why I'm doing what I'm doing anymore. Like, I feel like I just need to take a step back, kind of reevaluate things.
I realized that it wasn't just the loss of my leg, but there were other things during those 5 years that had happened that had made a hard situation even more difficult.
Things can accumulate and then begin to really bear down on us and make us weary and sometimes even sick because we haven't been able to unpack the pain and the hurt and the sorrow.
When we came up to his accident, you would think that he would have more issues because he was the one who lost the use of his arm. But it actually was maybe more deeply affected me because of different loss that I felt.
During the 10 hours of surgery, I was out. I don't even remember any of that. And Sarah was there, with fear and dealing with all of these concerns and things that I never had to deal with. I processed through a lot of this. She hadn't. I don't know that we would have had that opportunity. I don't know that she would have had that opportunity without going through the debriefing process.
From a counseling perspective, I also know that there are people who are able to resolve issues in their hearts and in their souls and in their minds just within this setting.
It was really refreshing and releasing to be able to feel those feelings deeply and thoroughly so that I could feel them and then move past them.
The one of the things that I think Emmaus Encounter does so well is that it helps people in those threshold moments where they know that what's behind them is about done, but what's in front of them isn't quite clear yet.
I think the most rewarding thing in debriefing is actually watching the person get answers for themselves.
It just brought so much clarity, so much revelation.
Janet and Andy have really the right gift mix. They are so personally invested in the lives of people. And when people sit down with them, they always feel really loved and cared for, and they do a great job of listening.
It was just so rewarding to be able to have someone listen to you for hours on end.
What we do is we just put their hand in Jesus's hand and walk alongside of him. And then he does all the work and we get the privilege and the honor of being a part of seeing someone's life change.
Even though I had been aware that God was walking through it with me, I was even more aware after debrief of how close he really was during that whole time and even currently when I come against hard times.
And debriefing can be for anyone. Pastors, lay people, professionals, missionaries, anybody who experiences life.
I think having the week-long process to stop life and look back and actually take that time was so valuable.
It is a very powerful healing instrument for people.
One of the best things I've done, one of the healthiest things I could have done for myself.
It's been life-changing, I would say.